go somewhere else. I've built a defensive parameter all around the tripod out of Lego things that I've built in hopes that that keeps Princess from knocking into the tripod and we having some, you know, little usual princess fun. Let's hope for the best. Hi, my name is Kay, and this is my cave of possibilities. I have knitting to the left of me, cross-stitch to the right, and here I am, stuck in the middle with you. It's been another 6 weeks. I didn't think it would be another 6 weeks. I almost did a podcast before we left on our great Texas road trip. There'll be a little bit more about that later on, even though I recorded it last week, but you know, the magic of editing. Time doesn't exist. Woo! Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. We got it. Anyway, I've had a pretty good 6 weeks. We did work stuff, we did vacation stuff, I've crafted, I've gamed, I've done all the things. But let's get the show on the road. Start out with some cross stitch. And with that, we'll start with a finish. This is Spring Quaker by Primrose, Cottage, Needleworks, and I finished it! Woo! Yay! I stitched it with dragon fruit, which I think it was a Classics color. No? Was it gassed? You guys! I've put all my flosses away. I know the color was dragon fruit, but I cannot remember the dyer. Bad me! Oh my goodness! I do know that the fabric is Thistle, and it was dyed by Red Thicket Fibers, who is a dyer located here in Utah. And we've got a super sunny day out my north-facing window, so everything is blowing out just a bit. But this is a soft, purpley pink. It is called Thistle. So it just turned out beautifully. I stitched it 2/2, and this is a 32 count lugana. And it is wonderful. I'm so happy with how it turned out. It was a fun little stitch. Just each little motif felt like a little mini finish, and I had the best time with this. So that is my finish. Woo! Let's see. Next, well, we'll discuss where I am with Lady of the Flag. I have done quite a lot of fill-in with her. I am stitching her on a 32 count Okay, so far avoided a catastrophe. Alright, Lady of the Flag, 32 count water lily linen. And of course I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm using the called for colors and flosses and having a good time with it. I am kind of working, well, I'm a middle starter, and the middle start was somewhere in here. And so the division between the 2 pages is right here, and so I'm filling in as much as I can on the top page, and then I'll drop down and fill in as much as I can on the bottom page, and then I will have to move the hoop. Let's move on to my next bit. I'm thinking about, I like to finish the dresses first because they are so incredibly huge. So I think I'll probably scoot this way a little bit and finish off. There's a big ribbon that kind of comes down around here, and let me show you the picture example. So I'm kind of right here, so I'll scoot it over so I finish this here and then drop down to finish the bottom of her skirt and the Liberty ribbon, and then start moving back up for her face and the rest of her. Like I say, I really like to do the bottom half of a Mirabilia first because that usually has the most stitching involved. So I just work on her a little bit at a time here and there, being very careful not to burn myself out on her, so that every week she gets some stuff put into her, gets worked on a little bit, and that way I don't burn myself out. I'm neither pushing myself too hard to finish her, but yeah, progress is coming. She's turning out great. Really enjoying her. So that is Lady of the Flag by Mirabilia. The next little thing I worked on is, of course, it's all rolled up, but I'm working on Santa's Village by Cottage Needleworks. Let me double check. Let me grab the right pattern. Yep, Cottage Needleworks. This was a series of 12 cute little houses, all stitched to one. I brought my border all the way across here, and then none of the vertical border was in, so I started stitching that down as far as I thought I could go, since I don't have the last row of houses in. And then I moved my hoop over here. I'm ready to start on, I believe it's poinsettia is what's going to go there where my hoop is. Ready to attack that. I had initially thought that I might take this with me on the Great Texas Road Trip, but it was kind of a lot of stuff, you know, lots of flosses, lots of patterns, lots of. So I didn't. I am stitching it with the called for flosses, even the called for overdyes. I started this so long ago, you guys. I no longer recall any information about the fabric. I think it's a 32 count, but I can't promise you that, nor do I really recall the name of the fabric. So I'm sorry, but it's a beautiful sort of light blue mottled with white, so it makes an excellent backdrop for a snowy evening in Santa's Village. So that, got a little bit done on that. Enjoyed it quite a bit. Now, since I didn't want to take Santa's Village with me to Texas, that meant that I had to figure out one more thing that I was going to take with me. And so that ended up being, let go please, the funky chickens. So I took those with me because it could all easily fit in a project bag by me. And I have to fold that down. I got a good chunk down on my chickena. I'm not quite halfway. It's more like 2/5, 3/7, something like that. I just need to fill in the rest of these little feathery bits, and then I think, oh yeah, there's some yellow things that I need to finish up here, and then I can move it over into the middle and put in the wording that's in the middle, and then move to the other side for the reverse of this. No. So that is my funky chickens. I really am enjoying this. Oh, I'm primarily using the called for Cosmo. Cosmo is a beautiful, beautiful floss. It's manufactured in Japan. The cotton they use has a slightly longer staple length. Seriously? No! No! Excuse us 1 minute. Cats, man, they're all up in your business when you don't want them to be, and they're never around when you're like, I could really give you some loves right now, cat. This is still a little off. That looks better. I was finishing up funky chickens using the called for Cosmo, manufactured in Japan. The cotton has a slightly longer staple length, which makes it flow really nice and smooth through the fabric. I am using a 32 count lugana, which was just tucked away in my stash. I thought about going for something really fancy, but in the end I just went with what was in stash because, well, I was getting ready for the road trip and didn't want to drive anywhere. I did not find all of the called for Cosmos at the quilt store where they have these, and so I have 3 whatchamacallit, DMC. I'm using the DMC substitutes for 3 of these colors, and I am really enjoying the stitch, having a lot of fun. There's not a lot of, well, you do a little something and then you change, you do a little something else and then you change, and I am really enjoying that. So this is one of the Funky Chickens by Satsuma Street. That's pretty much all I've been working on as far as cross-stitch goes. My cross-stitch acquisitions are very, very low. I purchased some acrylic colors for Lady of the Flag the other day, and then I noticed that So Much to Love had a pansy bag, so of course I bought the pansy bag because I can't let a pansy go by without it coming home to live with me, more or less. I did see that Gwendolyn Place had done a mandala sort of style with pansies, but I don't know how they managed to do that, but they managed to make some really ugly pansies. How can you do that? So that's one that I didn't pick up because they managed to make some really ugly pansies. Let's talk about what I've been up to as far as knitting goes. Let's do the big monster project that I've been carrying around in a Kate Spade tote because, you know, Kate Spade totes make the best yarn bags for reasons unknown. Okay, this is still attached to the ball. Of course it is. This is my giant blanket that I've been working on over and over and over again at church, and I think it's finally got to the point where it's really, there we go, too big to travel. It goes for a while at like 576 stitches, and then you double that, and I've just hit the doubling row, so right now there are 1,100 and I think it was 52 stitches to go all the way around in one fell swoop. I put it on my 60-inch cable so that all the stitches aren't super crowded up together. This is a lovely and meditative knit, because you just knit and knit and knit around and around and around, and every once in a while you might do an exciting row of knit two togethers yarn overs, but you know, whenever. I am using some beautiful yarn. It is MCN Merino Cashmere Nylon base from Love and Speckles, and she is based out of Australia. You can find her on Etsy. She does most of her stuff ready to ship. There's a few things that are, you know, pre-ordered, so you put in your order and then it's delivered. But this goes around and around and around. I'm enjoying it. I just joined Skein 5 of 6, so I am two-thirds of the way done with this, and I am looking forward to getting it done. It's meant to be a blanket. It will lay flat once I get it off the circular needles, but for now it looks really, really funky going around. I apologize for the clunking you're hearing. That's just some of my needle minders hitting this is my beginning of round marker, hitting my little wooden table that I put here. So that's the thumping and clumping. Give me a second to tuck this back into its project bag, and we'll move on to my other couple of knits that I've been working on. Did I tell you anything about the pattern, about the giant round throw? That is the Anthology throw, and the designer is Helen Stewart. And it was written to use a whole bunch of mini skeins or a festive kit, whichever you prefer. And you can even use scraps. It's a great project, very flexible in the yarns that you want to use, and I highly, highly recommend it. So that is the pattern information for the big round thing. The other project that I am working on is a pattern by Amba O'Brien. She's an Australian designer. Come to think of it, Helen Stewart has moved to Australia as well. Apparently, I love the Australians. And this is the Wrap It Real Good throw. It is meant for a DK, and I am using two mini set kits that were released a couple years ago for Valentine's Day, and the dyer of the kits is Mystic Fiber Co. She was formerly Miami Fiber Co. If you Google either of those names, it'll bring you to her website. Unfortunately, these were kind of a limited time, so they're no longer available. But she does beautiful, beautiful work, you guys. I highly recommend her. Working on a DK. I believe this is 100% superwash, but I was a bad girl and I threw away all of my tags. Let's get this out and show you. It's a real simple feather and fan. So I am alternating my two 13, were they 13 or 12? Anyway, my mini skeins, they're 12. One is going from like 1 to 12, and the other is going from 12, pointing and you can't even see me, 1 through 12, and then 12, 12 through 24. So this is 1, this is 12, this is 11, 2, and 11, blah, 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 blah. So the fades from the dark purple to the dark red, but that meant that whatever was here in the center, just past the center somewhere over here, was going to be either the dark red or the dark purple. And I wanted purple on my ends, but I didn't want dark red up against my face. I don't know that pink is any better, because you can see my face is rather red tinged anyway. Those blood vessels right up close to the skin's surface. Anyway, I did take this on the Great Texas Road Trip, and I added, 3. So I did 3 between last time I talked to you and the Great Texas Road Trip. I did 3 on the Great Texas Road Trip, and then I did another 3 the other day. Here is my little strawberry progress keeper. I got her from Simply Serving. She is on Etsy. She makes a whole bunch of cute little project keepers, stitch markers, a number of gorgeous things. So I have worked from here all the way up to here on my project. And this is just such a nice little project to go along. It's super easy. Love it so much. Another fairly relaxing knit. Is that everything I have to say about you? I think so. This is a good one. Yeah. So we'll tuck that into this. This is a project bag made by my mother for me with pansies, of course. So another great bag. And the last thing I've been stitching on is in this cute bag. This is a bag by Awesome Granny. Has all sorts of wonderful knitting and crafting stuff on it. And this is what I'm working on. Chetney's hat with ear tabs. I noticed the last time I talked about, you know, how a hat would be super easy to make. This pattern is kind of a disaster, you guys, but you'll have to excuse all my ends. I do have the ear tabs made up, and so the colorwork section will go on the outside, and then this brown section will fold in like that, and the sides will be joined together in the finishing stage. So it'll be double thickness, nice and warm for my friend. And that's, you know, so I've got ear flaps. I'm ready. I would love to cast on the rest of the hat and get it going. But as I said, this pattern is a little bit of a mess, and I'm having a hard time interpreting what it's telling me, figuring things out, because, well, do a provisional cast on for X number of stitches, slide one set of ear flaps onto your needle, do a provisional cast on for another batch of stitches, slide the other ear flap on, and then do provisional cast on for X number of stitches, and then join in the round. It should be simple. I am just on the struggle bus with doing that for whatever reason. And so it's not getting done. As soon as I can figure out the best way to do the provisional cast on with the slip stitches, it'll be go time, and I can just knit, 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 knit to my heart's content, and it'll be just fine. I've just got to figure out how to make the provisional cast on with slipping the ear flaps on and all that. I've looked at a couple suggestions from YouTube on tutorials for provisional cast-ons for hats, but they're a little different in that they really don't take account for provisionally cast on so many, slip this number on, more provisional, more slip stitches, more provisional, join in the round, yada yada. That I think I'm going to have to magic loop it, but I don't have 2 sets of 9s on the interchangeable needles, so that's kind of slowing me down too. And I don't have, if I do a cable that's small enough for the number that I cast on so you can knit all in the round, it's really, really tight, and I can barely get it around to actually manipulate the needles to do things. So I'm probably going to have to order another pair of needles and maybe a pair of size 9 DPNs for when I get to the top of the hat. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But the last time I checked the place where I buy my needles, they were all out of the size 9 interchangeable needles, and I didn't see that Haya had size 9 DPNs. So I got to think about things a little bit. I should check to see if Mom has size 9s, and then maybe I can steal her size 9 needles for dual circulars thing. My brain. It was a rough, okay. It was not a rough day at work today. It was a use your brain a lot day at work today, and as a result, brain is tired, words are not coming. I'm sure those of you that work completely understand where I'm coming from there. So anyway, that is my hat. I would love to get it done for my friend, and it's just kicking my brain butt right now. Can't think about how I want to do the stuff that I want to do. I only have one purchase when it comes to yarn goodies, and it is a reprint or a re-dye of a festive kit from what was last year, 2023. So here's one half of it, and it fades from these beautiful purples in towards the greens to the yellows. This is from Artemis Yarns. Artemis Yarns. She's out of France, I believe. And so it ends there with the yellows, and then it fades back through from the yellows into the pinks to the lovely purpley pinky reds over here. The theme of the festive kit was irises, so it's, you know, most of the colors that you would find in an iris. Really quite beautiful. I'm really glad she did a re-dye, and I'm really glad that that I caught the re-dye. So that is excellent news there. Her theme for a festive kit this upcoming year is Medusa, and it is described as being wonderfully moody. I'm not really a moody colors person, so I'm going to wait to see if somebody else has purchased it and does pictures, you know, when it comes to be December festive kit season. See what they've done and if it'll be worth looking for on a redyed. So that is all that, and I'm mostly trying to keep my purchases down to a minimum because my room is full and there is no more room. So, the other day I recorded a thing about the Great Texas Road Trip. I'm going to splice it in right here. Hey guys, it's past me to give you an update to future me about just life and stuff and our epic road trip adventure to Texas to see the eclipse. Just getting home from work long enough to change my sunglasses for reading glasses, and little princess hasn't had enough time to say her hellos, so I'm sure she'll be making herself known. And are you going to be a nuisance? You are always a nuisance. Yes, you are. So let's start with the Texas road trip. We took 2 days to drive from here to a little suburb, I guess, east of Dallas called Forney, where my uncle and aunt live, and we stayed with them for the eclipse. We went, day one was from Provo to Albuquerque, and then day 2 was from Albuquerque all the way across Texas to Forney. We were really impressed with the roads. Cat hair all over the place. We were really impressed with the roads in Texas and New Mexico. In Utah, little roads between little towns are just two-lane affairs, one lane going this way, one lane coming back the other way, iffy on the passing lanes, take your life into your own hands sort of thing, and it was not pleasant, and well, we have had a catsident. Let me fix this. Zach, am I going to have to lock you out? Am I going to have to throw you out? Huh? Huh? Being a pest. Being a pest. I think that looks about right. We'll see. Where was I? 2-lane roads. But in New Mexico and Texas, it was really nice because their little roads between little towns were typically 2 lanes this way, 2 lanes going the other way. Sometimes it was divided, sometimes just a double yellow, but speeds were good. You were able to get around traffic that was moving very, very slow. Actually worked out really, really quite nice. Kitty, you're shedding. Yeah, you are. I'm going to have cat hair all over my face and I won't be able to breathe properly here in a few minutes. So that was our drive down to Forney, Texas. Uneventful. On Sunday we just hung out around the house. Well, we ended up just hanging around my uncle's house for 3 days, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. We had thought we would go to see a whole bunch of museums and whatnot in and around Dallas on Tuesday, but it turned out that most of those museums were open on Monday for the eclipse, and then they were closed on Tuesday. So we ended up hanging around the house, and hanging around the house with family was not bad at all in the slightest. We had a really nice time with Uncle Glenn, Aunt Kim, and some of their kiddos, my cousins, came into town. We hung out, had a good time. Let's see, what else did we do? Well, of course, there was the eclipse. It came in on Monday. In the area of Texas where we were, there were it was partly cloudy, but the clouds were pretty high and fairly light. Sometimes the cloud cover would thicken enough so that you couldn't see the eclipse or the sun either through your eclipse glasses or with your naked eye. Don't look at the sun with your naked eye. Don't be me. I didn't, but anyway. But it was light enough and the clouds were moving fast enough that we were able to sit out in the backyard, you know, and would look up and say ooh ah as the sun started, or the moon started its crossing, there's a fancy word, can't think of it, across the sun. And then it was fairly good when the full totality of the eclipse happened. It got fairly dark, but not nearly as dark as I thought it would be. I thought it would be like, you know, midnight of the darkest night, but it makes sense that it wasn't as dark as that because, I mean, the moon's shadow, it was only 100 miles wide, give or take, from what I saw on the news. And so, of course, there would be more daylight peeking in, you know, around the edges, so it wasn't that dark. But sure enough, before the eclipse, as it was getting more to be twilight, the birds were singing. And then during totality, the birds were very, very quiet. And then as soon as the sun started to, or as the moon started to move off from covering the sun again, the birds started singing again. So that was pretty cool. I took a couple pictures. I don't know. I'll try to insert them. It looks like I caught a picture of one of the solar flares. There were a couple that happened to go off, and so it's, you know, just the corona of the sun with like some big off into the clouds, big light spots doing that. So, you know, that was pretty good. A lot of fun. We had fajitas and orange soda, and we sat around the pool in the backyard and watched the eclipse. My uncle and aunt, they have like 2.5 acres, and so out in the back of their property were a ton of bluebonnets, the state flower of Texas, and they were all in bloom, absolutely gorgeous. So we went out there and got a picture of ourselves sitting in the bluebonnets, which I understand is a big thing in Texas. Some of my other friends were telling me that, yeah, people will just pull off the side of the freeway, you know, near an on or off ramp and just get out there in not the gore proper, but, you know, the little triangle spot between the freeway and an on and off ramp. And, you know, bluebonnets. There were just bluebonnets all over Texas, all over when we were driving in. It was really, really quite pretty. So we got to see the famous Texas bluebonnets. One of the days while we were hanging out at Uncle Glenn's house, just chilling like a villain, we went over to Buc-ee's and had a good time over there. Buc-ee's, if you don't know, is a very, very large gas station convenience store. They specialize in making a lot of their own products. So they have like 500 million flavors of beef jerky. There's 8, 12, I don't know how many flavors of icy, which is kind of like a slushie if you're not familiar with either of those. Tons of soda at the soda fountain. They have pulled pork sandwiches, brisket sandwiches. They do candied nuts. Banana puddings, chocolate puddings, all sorts of puddings and parfaits. They do salads. They've just got a whole heck of a lot of stuff going on, and it's kind of fun. It really is just kind of fun and random. So one day we went over there and wandered around inside of Buc-ee's and looked at this and that and their merch and their home decor stuff. We somehow missed the quadrant of the store that is all Buc-ee's merch. Missed that. But for dinner we picked up like a banana pudding. We had giant sodas. Here comes little Miss Princess again. Are you going to be trouble? I mean, if you sit down and aren't trouble, that'll be okay. You sit down and not be trouble? Or I'm going to have to move you. Yeah, you're trouble. Alright, move. 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 Thank you. For dinner, we had pulled pork or a brisket sandwich, a drink. We picked up some beaver nuggets. Those were really tasty. Liked those quite a bit. Banana pudding. Other bits of randomness just to try a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of whatever. So we gathered up our food and headed back to the house for dinner. Had a good time. The brisket sandwiches were a big hit with Dad. He absolutely loved it. And that, I think that's everything that we did. Eclipse, Buc-ee's, Walmart. I mean, there's nothing to report when you go to a Walmart. You go to Walmart for supplies. Oh, and we went over to Torchy's Tacos one evening for dinner. Torchy's Tacos, you guys, absolutely very, very good. They have an appetizer that is like a spicy queso. Really, really delicious. Not too spicy since I'm kind of a spice wimp. Really good. That I had, I forget the names of the tacos that I had. One, the beef barbacoa, was kind of okay. The other one that I had like pulled pork in it. Really, really good. I really like the pulled pork taco. But they had a whole assortment, whole variety of tacos. My mom had a shrimp taco she really liked. Dad had a fish taco. He liked that. Anyway, Torchy's Tacos. If you see him, go pay him a visit. I really enjoyed that. So, let's see, Tuesday, yep, I mentioned that. I mentioned Buc-ee's. Okay, I have to turn, I wrote down some notes because if I don't write it down, it didn't happen. On Wednesday, was our first day of moving again. We were going to go, well, we hit a couple of different places, but our end destination is Austin, Texas. So on our way to Austin, we backtracked all the way across Dallas over to Fort Worth to visit the Bureau of Printing and Engraving. It is one of 2 spots in the U.S. where they print our paper, our currency, our dollar bills. Dollar bills, yo. And it was really fascinating to just go in there, look at all of their exhibits, go into the industrial tour and see how, you know, they were printing this type of printing on this press, running them through, double checking, making sure that no flaws or imperfections were on the money, and then it would go into a storage space to wait for the ink to dry or for the embossing to set, and then, you know, after a couple days it would come out and go hit a different area and be run through for, you know, the second set of impressions or printing or what have you, and then back into storage while it waited for, you know, that set of stuff to dry and cure, and then back out for the final press, and then, you know, showed us how they cut all the, you know, cut down the sheets from a big sheet down to each individual bill. They talked about the security features, packing, handling. It was really, really interesting. We love a factory tour, an industrial tour. I love, love, love seeing how things are made. And so if you're ever in the Fort Worth area, go over to the Bureau of Printing and Engraving for their tour. It was excellent and free and excellent. So that was great. When the tour was over, it had been threatening to rain when we went in, and it was coming down like nobody's business when we were done. And so our jog from the visitor center out to the parking lot where the car was, we were just all soaked. There was nothing for it. So after the tour, we headed south back towards Waco, and before we got to Waco was a little spot recommended to me by some Texan friends, Slovacek's West. It turned out to be another gas station sort of place, not as big as crazy as Buc-ee's, but you know, its own thing. And on that day they were running a special for pulled pork sandwich plus drink and chips for like $8. So we had that for lunch, a little bit of a later lunch. It was about 2-ish at that point, something like that. Anyway, so we had our pulled pork sandwiches at Slovacek's. The guys had recommended we try out the kolaches, so we picked up a couple of kolaches while we were there. Have to say, a little disappointed with the sweet kolaches, but the buns they used for the pulled pork sandwiches, those were really, really, really tasty. An excellent bun, an excellent bread. Super, super good. So we liked their pulled pork. We loved their buns. So that was a stop, and then another 20 minutes down the road we got off in Waco and we went to the Dr. Pepper Museum. We were expecting something a little more along the lines of a factory tour, but no, it's just your standard museum, walk around, read the history, look at some artifacts, a little bit of this and that and the other. It's a perfectly fine museum tour, but at $10, maybe a little pricey. $5 would have been right on, but $10, a little bit much. So, but I mean, we had fun. It was interesting looking at the stuff, but like I say, probably worth $5 and not 10. And then since we were right downtown, well, not downtown, right, you know, in the heart of Waco, as it were, Magnolia, the empire that Chip and Joanna Gaines have built, was like 2 blocks away. So we walked over there and just kind of rounded the grounds while we sipped our hand-poured soda fountain made Dr. Peppers and just kind of looked around. And there were a lot of people there. It was interesting. There were a lot of like families there with dads and kids throwing balls back and forth in one area. They had like a little wiffle ball baseball diamond set up. Some people were playing baseball over there. I kind of wanted to poke my head into some of the shops and see what was going on, but Mom and Dad weren't very interested at all, so we just kind of wandered around, you know, gave it 10, maybe 15 minutes to walk the loop. No little cat. No. And then headed back to the car and back on the road towards Austin. And traffic in Austin is crazy. It was just crazy. People everywhere. People doing all sorts of stuff. Anyway, we eventually made it to our hotel, which was not downtown Austin. Anyway, pretty close to where we wanted to be the next day. Hang on, we got a catsident. Okay, left Waco. It was raining some more. It rained quite a bit between Fort Worth and Waco, and it slowly started to clear up, but somewhere in between Fort Worth and Waco, man, the skies just opened, it came down, it hailed, we slowed way down on the freeway. We joked that we nearly had the Texas weather hat trick with heavy rain, heavy hail, but we did not get the tornado, so that's you know, I'll be okay not getting the Texas weather hat trick. Anyway, we made it through Austin, through all the crazy traffic, got to our hotel, and was there for the overnight. Thursday morning, we started out with our Austin tour, and I had signed us up for a double-decker bus tour, and that was a lot of fun because it kind of went around the central Austin area. We had a great guide. You could tell he absolutely loved his city. He talked about it, you know, enthusiastically, was extremely knowledgeable, just loved what he was doing. And of course, it wouldn't be a tour without the silly puns. But anyway, it was a great tour, highly recommend. We went by the, let's see, we went by the university, we went by the state capitol, we went up the South Congress district that's super trendy, all sorts of restaurants, and you know, the music scene. Our guide talked extensively about the music scene because he was really into it. He really enjoyed it, so I highly recommend that tour. Worth it. When our tour was over, we decided to walk up to the Texas State Capitol and poke around. Since we weren't, I mean, it was maybe half a mile, 3/4 of a mile from where our car was parked. So we just walked up there. We hit the visitor center for the Texas State Capitol, looked at all of their exhibits, and they have a couple of little movies, read stuff, looked at stuff, and then walked over to the Capitol building itself, went in there, and we were able to wander around and look at this, that, and the other, and that was really enjoyable. And then, so then it was getting about 1 o'clock, and so we were ready to head from Austin on down to San Antonio for our next stop. So we packed it up and headed for San Antonio. Still crazy traffic all over, Austin. Got better when we were closer to San Antonio, but I don't know what you Austinites are doing. Y'all are crazy. On our way down, we stopped in New Brunswick at another Buc-ee's for a late lunch, early dinner. More brisket sandwiches all around, sodas. I picked up some of the Buc-ee's handmade chips, and we shared those around. My sister picked up some candied pecans. Those were excellent. Shared those around. As we were coming out, we were debating, well, where are we going to eat? Because the trees hadn't grown up for it to be shady enough, and Buc-ee's doesn't have picnic tables or anything around it. What they do have is about 100 gas pumps and awnings over all those gas pumps. So we looked over there, and there was plenty of shade underneath the awnings, and there were plenty of empty pumps. Nobody's waiting for a pump. I mean, it's in the middle of the afternoon on Thursday. And so we just, went over to one of the pumps, parked, ate our sandwiches. We did fill up, I have to say, we did fill up with gas at the Buc-ee's before we went inside to gather up our sandwiches and stuff. Rolled down the windows. The weather was absolutely gorgeous. A light breeze come through the window, sitting in the shade at the gas pumps. Ate our late lunch, early dinner. Had a good time. I'm looking at Princess. After that, we headed on into San Antonio, and our little hotel was across the street from an H-E-B, and we kind of decided we weren't really hungry for dinner, since we just had early dinner, down at the at Buc-ee's. But my sister and I, we wandered across the street and wandered around the H-E-B. We're looking for some supplies for her, salads, fresh fruit, stuff like that. And cute little store, kind of like the H-E-B. We were surprised that they had an excellent selection of ready-to-go food, sandwiches, salads, a lot of take-and-bake stuff. Plus, they had an in-store pizza kitchen, so you could order your pizza at a kiosk, and they'd make it, and then you could just take it away. So that was our Thursday. Friday was our day in San Antonio. Our hotel was pretty close to where the Alamo was. I couldn't afford, well, I didn't want to pay $300 a night for a hotel right at the Alamo or right on the Riverwalk. So once again, we walked about 3/4 of a mile up to the Alamo. I'd signed us up for the audio tour, and that was really excellent. Absolutely recommend the audio tour. And so we wandered around the Alamo for like 2.5 hours, looking at all the things, reading all the displays, listening to the audio tour, sitting in the shade when we were outside, listening and learning about stuff. It was excellent. Very, very good. Enjoyed that thoroughly. After we were done with the Alamo, we just walked a block or two down to the Riverwalk and wandered around for maybe half an hour or so, and then decided to get lunch at Casa something. I forget. Anyway, a cute little Mexican spot. We could either sit outside in the sun with the birds and the penguins, or sit inside in the air conditioning. We chose inside with the air conditioning. Had a pretty good lunch. Well, the chicken fajitas were really expensive, so I had chicken fajitas quesadilla style. So it was all the stuff that you'd get in a chicken fajitas, but done up in a quesadilla. Absolutely excellent. Really quite good. My sister liked what she got. I don't remember what it was. Mom liked what she got. Dad was kind of iffy on his thing. After that, we kind of walked around a little bit, the Riverwalk, seeing this and that. We decided to do the little boat tours that they have running up and down the river. We had overheard some of the guides, and I heard that, they were pretty funny. So I said, sure. So we paid to do the boat tour on the river. Have to say, we got a pretty guide. So it was just meh. But it was kind of fun to, float, be driven on the river, I don't know what to say, to, this spot and this spot, and get a little bit of history, about how long the Riverwalk had been there, and how long the improvements made, and this, that, and the other. But it all depends upon your guide. If you've got a great guide, it's a great tour. If it's meh guide, then it's a meh tour. So anyway, after that, we figured we were pretty much done for the day and walked back to the hotel. It was about 4-ish, and so we just kind of hung out in our rooms until about 6, when we gathered all together and then headed back over to the H-E-B for pizza. So we went in, ordered us a pizza, got a couple sodas, and then this H-E-B had several picnic tables off to the side, and it happened to be on the shady side of the building, which was fantastic. So we ate our pizza on the picnic tables, drank our sodas. The breeze was nice and light, and just had a really nice, you know, afternoon, evening, hanging out, doing nothing at the H-E-B. Alright, Saturday, drive day. We went from San Antonio to Carlsbad, New Mexico. About 7-hour drive. Sunday morning was when we went to Carlsbad Caverns, which is a fantastic big national park cavern place there in New Mexico. Highly recommend it. We picked up an audio tour there. It was really, really awesome. The last time we were there was like in 1989 when I was a freshman in high school, and so the changes that they had made to the tour and the program and, you know, the things they talked about was so different from what I remembered. They have implemented timed entry. So the first time we went in 89, I remember it just being really, really crowded and really, really noisy, and the lights were really bright, you know, bright, bright, bright. So now they've got it so timed entry, so only a few people are in at a time. It was really, really quiet. They've hired a stage lighting person to come in and redo the lights, so the lighting was more artistically directed and really highlighted some of the features in the cavern more than it had back in 89. Anyway, it was excellent. We were down wandering the path, listening to our audio guide, about an hour and a half, and then we'd spent like a half hour beforehand checking out the museum and the bookstore and stuff, and then about 10-15 minutes after the tour, you know, re-looking at some of the stuff upstairs in the museum and whatnot. So that was well worth it. We stopped in Carlsbad for some lunch and then headed to Albuquerque for our last hotel stay, and then the next day was Albuquerque to home, just a drive day. And so that was our excellent Great Texas Road Trip Adventure Orama. So that was that. Well worth it. Well worth seeing the eclipse. The next one will come right over my head where I am at. We'll be in the path of totality in 2045. So, you know, that's a mere 21 years away, and I'm still young, so I should be alive, you know, knock on wood, for that one. Alarmed the cat there when I knocked on wood. Let's see, what else has been going on in lifey things, since we're talking lifey stuff. I have been going up to Clearfield about once a month for Stitchery Express's Stitch-In. Cindy Sorley of Stitchery Express hosts stitching on Saturdays. Most Saturdays, if she's there, they're open. And so I go up about once a month and really enjoy chatting with the ladies. Anywhere, it seems like about 20 well, there's more than 20 regulars, but at any one time there might be, you know, between 15 and 20 people there, and people just come and go and come and go, and I really enjoy going up there and talking with the ladies. Retreat-wise, I signed up for Stitching Along the River, which is a retreat in Boise, Idaho. It's going to be at the end of July. It is sponsored by Maggie's on Main, which is a craft shop up there in Emmett, Idaho, which is adjacent to Boise. So last time I knew, they still had openings, so if you want to go stitch along the river at the end of July, just get into Google Maggie's on Main, and from the main website there's a Stitching Along the River thing that you can press and connect and get all hooked up that way too. And then we're going to go, the retreat after that is going to be in Casper, Wyoming, for the Crazy Woman stitching retreat. Looking forward to that. And then the last one of the year is going to be Stitch West, just up in Salt Lake City. So those are, I have to burn through a lot of vacation time this year because I've almost got up to the point where I won't earn any more vacation time because I've got the max allowed, so I'm trying to burn it back down. When work is not a chore, sometimes it's hard to take vacation time because my theory is, well, I don't have a lot of money to go do a lot of things, so, you know, what's the point of going on vacation if I'm just going to laze about the house? If I'm going to laze about the house, I may as well go to work. Kind of my thing, because work's not arduous to me. I really like the people I work with. I like what I'm doing. Sure, there are challenges some days, but overall, I don't mind it. It's work. It's pretty good. I don't mind. So we're trying to burn through a lot of vacation days this year and kind of keep it on the cheap side. Hasn't always been on the cheap side, but yeah, it's what we're doing. Hopefully next year, in what's next year, 2025, we'll have things ironed out where I can take some vacation time and not be trying to chew through 6 weeks of vacation in a year. 6 weeks of vacation in a year is a lot of vacation, guys. I don't know. What else have we been doing? We haven't been doing a lot. Just Princess is here. I've been stitching and knitting, which is the whole point of the podcast, and you will have seen that when I record it coming up, but would have sliced it in before this, so I guess there's no reason to talk about that. So I guess that's that for our life and travel log. We'll see you after the cut. Yep, Texas road trip was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to going through all my retreats. I have decided that in addition to just not spending money left, right, and upside down, the widow across the street is getting ready to put her house on the market, and I nearly have enough. I hope she doesn't do it soon. I nearly have enough money to really buy. I have the 20% down payment easy. When I sold my condo, I just rolled all the profit into a savings money market. I put it away and I haven't touched it, and it's grown. So I have a down payment. I would like to get it to be a little bit larger so that the amount that I pay on the mortgage is just a little bit less than what my calculations figure that it is going to be already. So there's that. It's a small house. I don't mind living with my parents. They're really great people. We get along just fine. I would like a little more elbow room because I'm just in this bedroom and the bedroom across the hall. You can see it right there. That's my bedroom. So yeah, trying to be smart with my money instead of being the crazy impulse shopper that I am. It looks like this Saturday, May 4th, I think it's May 4th, I'm probably going to go up to Clearfield to Stitchery Express for their Saturday stitch-in. Usually there from noon to 4. I know none of y'all are going to go up there just to see me, but I'm going to go sit and talk with some lovely ladies and have a great time and stitch all afternoon, and it's going to be very good and very relaxing. I probably work on Lady of the Flag just because that's what I'm doing. I need to remember to grab my Celtic Noelle and take her with me to show one of the other ladies. She's working on the lavender and lace Celtic Christmas, and so am I, but I haven't touched her in, I don't know, 5-6 years, whatever my cross-stitch hiatus has been. So she's on the list eventually, sort of. She's stored in a bag up here, that's why I'm looking up here. Cross-stitch to the right of me. I think that's it. Work's going pretty good. Busy as always. It's end of the month right now, so tomorrow will be a pretty busy day. The day after, what's that, Thursday? Thursday will be a pretty busy day, but, you know, other than that, it's all good. Having a good time, love my coworkers, love my job, really, really enjoying that. So, that's everything I have got for you. Princess has climbed into the top of a basket in one of the cubes over here. There's just knitting patterns in there, so she's not really destroying anything, but it's going to take some work to get her out. You crazy cat! You crazy cat! Anyway, I love you all. I hope you're doing good. If you find that you're in a tough place, sometimes just getting a plan. Even though you know you can't execute your plan right away, but you got a long-term plan, just like me, trying to save up to buy the house across the street. It may not work, but I got a plan. I'm going to work my plan. Now, that reminds me, y'all go over to somewhere. I'm going to look it up, and then we'll restart. Alright, you guys, I need you to go over and visit with Carla Bean Crafty. She's having a hard time. She could use your love and support. She's a fabulous crafter, has a plethora of different types of projects and stitching. She's really, really fun. Her hair is purple. My hair would be purple if my job would allow that. C'est la vie. It is what it is. Go give her some love, some hugs, some support. She really could use it. And that's everything I've got for you today. Hugs and stitches, everyone. Bye.